Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening to you. And let's check and make sure we've got sound. It's so important to have sound. There's nothing worse than going live and no one can hear you. I know I've done that on accident before. Oh, we have sound there. All right, so that's excellent. Let's check one other place. Let's see if we have sound. And we do. We got sound, John. We got sound. So happy Monday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. It's been a few years, but St. Patrick's Day, I used to throw down. Do you hear me? I used to throw down on St. Patrick's Day. So I wanted to come live and continue this series that I started last week. I went live and shared. You can go and watch the replay on my YT. I shared how to scale your business without burnout. And so, in that same vein, tonight we're going to talk about how I make my content work hard for me so I don't have to, and how you can do the same thing. So if you are new here, my name is Tamara Hamilton. I'm so used to saying I blog about the business of beauty, but I really blog about the business of you. It is all about helping you by mentoring you, helping you with your marketing, helping you with your mindset, and helping you with monetization. And so, like I said, tonight we are talking about how I can make content work harder. This is part of a multi-part series. So if you are not subscribed, if you are not following, please go ahead and click up here or beneath the video. You know, it's going to depend on where you are watching from. I love to help women who are tired of outdated marketing, and I help them to finally get in front of people who want to buy from them, right? So this is not about working harder. If you know me, you know that is just not what I am in the spirit of doing. It's about working smarter. And as cliche as that sounds, so many people, my inbox has been full. I was supposed to go live earlier today, but I have been in my inbox having conversations because so many people are overwhelmed right now. I hate the O word. I hate the O word, but I have to be respectful and understand that that's where some people are. They feel that, thank you so much for the love. They feel overwhelmed. They feel like they have to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, doing all these things in their business, when it's about building systems that will give you your time back. Okay. And too many of you are stuck in the content, on the content hamster wheel, and it just doesn't lead to conversions. And I see it all day, every day. Now, some of that, again, this is why we talk mindset. Some of that is in your mind in terms of why that does not happen, because you are afraid of being salesy. You're afraid of coming off spammy. You're worried about what other people think, when, baby, you got to build a business. And right now we got to build a business like we've never built a business before. Do you hear me? I saw this thing, this quote from Dan Coe. Let me see if I can find it and pull it up real quick over on Instagram. And I'm going to read it to you because you can always count on Dan Coe. Okay. He said, if you don't shamelessly promote your work every day for the next 10 to 20 years, you will get stuck doing someone else's work. And you realize that until you realize that nobody else is going to pay you if they have no idea who you are, right? So one of the things I know, my ideal client, y'all love to network, right? Y'all love the Zoom networking, you love the in-person networking, but it's just not going to be enough to sustain you with everything that is happening in the world, right? I mean, and I can't say that unilaterally, because some people are very high ticket. One client can be 25K, but as things dry up, you still, if you're at multiple six figs, and the number of people you're able to pull from within your in-person networking drops, you're kind of in a bind, right? I think of Set It Off. I'm in a bind, Nate, right? And so that means that you have to be diversified and where you are pulling people from in order to have this bigger pool able to sustain your business, your life, and so on, right? And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight, how I make content work harder for me so I don't have to, and how you can do that as well, right? So you've been told to be everywhere. And trust me, I know that that dysregulates your nervous system. You got to be here. You got to stand on one leg, bark like a dog, howl at the moon, turn around, spin around 17 times, say the ABCs frontwards, backwards in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and French, right? And it makes you dizzy and makes you want to hurl. And it's tough, right? You're posting on Instagram, the TikToks, the YouTubes. You're showing up, but the sales aren't showing up, right? You're second guessing your offers, okay? And they may need some work. I'll be honest with you, right? You're questioning if you are actually cut out for this, and you're tired of hearing your best friend ask, how's the business? How's that little business, right? And you don't have an answer for them, right? You don't have a comeback. You don't have a clapback, right? So it's not you, right? Not totally you. It's not that you don't want it bad enough. You don't need more platforms. You need a system. All right. So we're going to talk about my story and how I got here. Okay. So I have over 32 years of sales, marketing, and leadership experience, actually soon to be 33 years in just a few months, right? And so when I came into online marketing in 2013, I had a very strong, solid foundation. And like many of you, I mainly used social media just to promote what I was doing offline, right? I really wasn't building for an internet marketing or online marketing presence. I would host offline events and whatever I was doing, meeting with people, and that I would, put the social proof online so people could know and keep up with what I was doing. But it wasn't that I was trying to pull in leads, right? It wasn't that I was trying to make sales or money in my sleep. It was, how can I really penetrate my existing market, but my organic network, basically, by showing them slice of life of what I am doing and invite them into my world, kind of like my own little reality TV show, right? And so much like you, I had this organic network, and let me tell you, baby, it dried up so quick, so quick. Now, yes, people were leading to other people, but it just dried up. And this happens, right? It just dried up. It literally drained me of my morale and my will to go forward. And that's when I was like, I have to do something online. I'm on Facebook anyway. At that time, Facebook had just announced that they had 1 billion monthly active users globally. And it's like, why am I pounding this pavement and hitting my head against a brick wall, talking to people who don't care to know what I am doing, who don't care to do it, or it's going to take a really long time to educate them and bring them there. There are people on social media who already believe what I believe, to go to Simon Sinek and the Golden Circle. There are people out there on Facebook and the social medias, on Instagram, on Pinterest, that already believe what I believe, right? And so I would rather be a lazy marketer, so to speak. I think a smart marketer, and gear my marketing toward them and pull them in. And so I set out on a learning journey because I did have over 22 years of sales, marketing, and leadership, corporate experience, Fortune 100, Fortune 20 experience, major consumer brands, many of the most major brands that I've worked with in some capacity over the last going on 33 years, right? And so, but I didn't have the digital marketing piece. I had to learn the digital marketing piece, but I was doing a lot of things right? People were already coming to me for my insights on marketing because I had that solid marketing foundation. I knew how to attract people, right? Organically, instinctively, but it was the systemization piece that I needed help with, right? And one of the places that I found a lot of success was Pinterest. I found success with Pinterest very early on, and it was honestly by accident. I'm not going to go into the whole story, but I created a blog in June. I started pinning in June. September, I really started to see a couple things. Number one, my pins were driving organic traffic to my blogs, and my pins were going viral. And I was actually showing up on Google search because of my pins. And so that's why Pinterest was becoming a very fast growing source of traffic to my blogs. And I began converting people that I never saw, that I never knew they even existed. And they were buying, like $300 and $500 worth of makeup from me, right? I would go to sleep and I would wake up to orders from all around the world, places I had never been before, right? So my pins were driving traffic to my email list, my lead magnets, and directly to my offers. Okay. And so I use templates that convert. I was just playing around with those earlier today. I automate what works, and I don't reinvent the wheel every week, right? I was just talking about this on Friday. Like, you have to understand, you got to figure out what works, and you just keep recreating that over and over again. And every now and then you weave in something new. Okay. But you're going to figure out what your core, your pillar posts are, whether it's on social media or blogging. And you're just going to keep tweaking those, modifying those, and keep posting those over and over again. And then, you weave in some trending or quote unquote viral content, but make sure it applies to your quote unquote niche. And remember, you are the niche. Okay. And this system is what allows me to this day. There is a beauty brand that I am an affiliate with. I no longer build a team, and I still get orders from various places, people reaching out to join my team. And I'm not really even building a team anymore, right? I'm still getting those requests. People are buying digital products and courses from me around the world. I've been sitting at my grandson's basketball game and sold digital products while I was sitting at his basketball game. So it works, whether it's my own products, courses, services, coaching, along with, selling physical products. I really don't manufacture my own, and I never will. Okay. So Pinterest keeps my content in front of people who are already looking for what I have to offer. Now, it's not the only place that I do that, right? Facebook is still high converting for me, but it should be, because that's where people know me at the deepest, right? And sometimes the longest, right? But it's not people that I've known forever that are buying from me. Before the people who are in my closest circle began to buy from me, it was complete strangers on the internet that were buying from me and supporting me. Okay. Aside from my mom, right? A few really close friends, people who just pitied me, I guess, and took it. I won't say pitied me, but they gave me a shot. They were fewer than the ones who were throwing hate and shade, right? Or the ones who were just sitting on the sidelines, right? And so those who were sitting on the sidelines, because the haters never came across the line. So if you're doing it for the haters, I can tell you right now, don't do it for the haters, because nothing you do, no amount of success is going to change them from being your hater. They're just going to hate you more intensely, and you're just going to give them more to hate you for. Now, they still play a role, but understand what that role is, and you'll be disappointed and you'll want to quit if your why is for the haters, because doing it for the haters is only going to breed more hate from them. They're never going to become a supporter. Very, very rare chance, right? But those who are just sitting on the sidelines, those who are kind of unaware, unconscious, as they begin to see your success and your social proof, now they're going to be more interested in what it is that you have, as long as it pertains to them, or they will refer you to others. I get a lot of referrals from people, because some of y'all, all these people on I got 5,000 friends and no one will support me. Darling, they just may not be your ideal client, and that's okay. But people lead to people. And just keep it up, keep going, and figure out where your ideal client is and how to get in front of them. Maybe you need to create a new page and just really focus on friending people who would be your good ideal client, right? So I am not hustling for clients because I don't have to, right? I wake up to sales notifications. I wake up to leads on any given day, okay? I take breaks and my business still works. I've gone on vacation with my family and my business still worked. I, one of the saddest times was before everything shut down, that January of 2020, when my grandmother was on her deathbed, right? And it was very challenging for me to focus and work. And, until we got, I hate to say resolution, but until things were final and she did pass. And then it was, the week or two up until the funeral, and then the funeral. And then after that, you're still dealing with grief and you got to get your focus back. And so in the meantime, in between time, my automation was still working for me. My system was still working for me. Okay. So this is not about passive income. I'm not a big fan of that phrase because most quote unquote passive income is not truly passive. You either have to be very active to create the money to generate that passive income, for example, to buy the real estate, right? You have to, have income to buy that, right? Or if it's something online, in the beginning, you're paying with your time, you're paying with your attention. Again, I talked about this on Friday with, scaling without burnout. You have to recognize what season your business is in. And if your business is in the season of launching, there's no such thing as work-life family balance. And you might as well just get that through your head. And if you are looking for work-life family balance, you probably shouldn't start a business. Because even if you're flipping properties, unless you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, and even with funding, you're still going to be spending your time and your treasure into that property until it is flipped, right? So it becomes a matter of how can you include your family and other things that we're not going to get into right now. But the point is rarely is it truly passive, right? So Pin Profits Mastery is my 6-module course. It is 2 years old now. It's been around for a little while. We've had numerous people go through it, had people who had Pinterest and they forgot about it and they started it back up. And within weeks, they are seeing results. Okay. We focus on buyers, not followers. Followers don't really matter. Over on Pinterest, you'll learn how to build, how to direct traffic. We don't really build funnels in Pin Profits Mastery, but your lead magnet. You definitely want to come to the course with some idea of what a lead magnet is and have your lead magnet and your links, because for the price, we don't really go through creating your lead magnet and linking it up and all that. That kind of is assumed that that information. Okay. So we teach you the exact system that I've used, right? How I grew my Pinterest to 13,000 followers. If followers don't matter though, at its peak, I had 3 million monthly views on Pinterest. Okay. So as we are moving into this world where the social medias are really going to penalize you for being business focused. It's really about being pay to play, especially on Meta platforms. You got to pay to play, right? And that's okay. But you got to learn how to create content in a way that attracts your ideal client and you become the algorithm. But you also want to be diversified, right? I always talk about paid, earned, and owned content, right? And traffic, right? So your paid traffic is obviously ads. You can run ads on Pinterest and you get a really good, better than Facebook return on ad spend, right? So for every dollar you spend on Pinterest, you get, better return for it on Pinterest compared to other platforms. Okay. But you also can still get a lot of organic traffic. And unlike some of the other platforms, when it comes to Pinterest, it's not like they throttle you or reduce the amount of exposure that your pins get because you're not paying for traffic or because it's quote unquote promotional like other platforms, right? Pinterest is very updated and modern. A lot of people don't realize that. Like you can upload video to Pinterest. Years ago, it was just images. And right now they need more content. I'm just going to be very honest with you. They need new, fresh pins and updated content. And so that's why, like I was saying, you want your core content pillars, your core pins, and you're going to freshen those and keep putting those out. That's what I was spending time doing earlier today. Okay. And so you can, pump out content around these stages of your buyer's journey and drive traffic in order to. My main concern would be getting started is traffic and leads. Get them into my ecosystem, get them into my funnel, and then convert them there. Okay. Especially if you are a service provider, a coach, consultant, author, or something like that. If you have physical products, yeah, you can sell those right from within Pinterest, especially if you are on Etsy or the Zon or somewhere like that. Okay. So it's a study on your own at your own pace course. It comes with every single transcript to each video, and you get a workbook. And there are so many resources in there, like the SEO guide, the pin description guide, the pin writing guide. And the course itself is valued at $1,200, but you can get it for $555. And you can split that up into 4 payments with Klarna. And I know some people have actually gotten it on 6 months. So that's between you and Klarna. I don't have anything to do with that. But this is how I work harder, not smarter. Pinterest is out there for me. But here's the thing you got to know about Pinterest. Your ideal pinner on Pinterest has a higher education level. In today's world, that's so key. They also have higher incomes. And because of that, because Pinterest is a search engine, I should say, when you combine all of those things together, you now have a pool of potential buyers who have the income, who have the credit cards, right? The bank accounts to be able to afford your products. Yes, high ticket items, high ticket coaching, right? Through Pinterest. It's completely possible. It's completely doable. Ask me how I know. I've been doing it since 2013, right? Because that question, people like to ask that question about, oh, it's only low ticket. I don't know who told y'all that. You see some of the most expensive brands, high ticket brands advertising on Pinterest for a reason. They've presented case studies on brands like, I think it was Burberry or Dior, like some really high-end brands on Pinterest, right? Your high-end client is everywhere that everyone else is. Some celebrities are on social media just like everybody else. So this myth, if that's what makes you sleep at night, then you go to sleep with that. But I'm here to tell you the truth. And the truth is you can have both high ticket, medium ticket, and also low ticket from Pinterest, right? And so what if you get low ticket? Because if you have your stack, you're going to move them from low ticket through your funnel. Some will go from low ticket right to high ticket. For me, that was always like really weird. Like, I just bought something for $27 and now you want to sell me something for $20,000. That's a little weird, right? But, something low ticket for a $20,000 course or program might be something that's $3,000 or $5,000. It's all relative, right? It's all subjective, and it's up to you to figure that out. But at the end of the day, if you are tired of the social media shuffle of, you got to do this for that platform, you got to do that for another platform, and you got to be here, you got to be here, you got to be here, you got to be there. The thing I can tell you about Pinterest, you don't got to be on there all day, every day. You can pretty much run that automated once you really get the hang of it. You can do a lot of automation with Pinterest, right? And you don't have to be on there all day, every day, which is wonderful. I absolutely love that about Pinterest. So, if you are sick and tired of posting and not getting results, I would definitely give Pinterest a try. I'd also consider the Luminary Path, because the Luminary Path is where you get some one-on-one time with me. I had a question earlier in my inbox about, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and I know I need to do Pinterest. But at the end of the day, I'm concerned about what I should be doing each day and getting the most for my time each day. And it's like, you need to be in luminary path, because that's one of the first things we do is we determine what your income producing activities are, what you should be doing each day to drive revenue in your business. Because if you don't have that down pat, if you don't have that figured out, you're going to struggle. If you open up your planner every day, you open up your laptop, you open up your phone, and you don't have a plan, you're probably going to end up doom scrolling, and for quite some significant time before you realize that you are doom scrolling, and boom, Houston, you've wasted several hours. Okay. You've wasted several hours when you do that. And so knowing, especially if you're working a full-time job, if you have a spouse, if you have babies at home, you need to be making the most of that time. You need to be doing what you say you're going to do, because if you are having this business and you're not getting results, those people closest to you are going to start calling red flag. They're going to start calling flag on the play, right? And then that's when you start, having to sacrifice your business for everybody else, but it's your own fault because you're not being a good steward. You're not having integrity by doing what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it. You got to do your part, right? I always say, how do you shut up an unsupportive spouse? Up a check, make some money. That's the best way to shut them up. Now, I know people who have spouses that are very, very supportive. I think that's because they're afraid their spouse is going to leave them because the spouse ain't really making no money, right? So it can happen both ways. But if your spouse is not supportive, or they're beginning to get a little noisy, then you need to make some results. You need to create results. And it's in your power to do so. It doesn't take a long time. What it takes is accountability. What it takes is mindset. What it takes is systems. And those are the things that I help my clients with. So I'm going to actually get ready to go, but I did want to come on and do this part of the series. And at the end of the day, you need systems. I don't care if it's Pinterest. I think, because I always talk about your pair and a spare, right? So your pair is your primary and secondary platform. They cannot be owned by the same entity. So it can't be FB and IG, can't be FB and Threads, can't be FB and WhatsApp, right? You can do like FB and Pinterest, FB and YT, right? You can do that. And then you have your spare, which is a place where you pretty much just have a presence. And you're probably growing a following. You're not really trying to, but you will grow some sort of following, because people, if you are really good at your pair and a spare, people will find you on this tertiary, this spare, and they will follow you. But you want to be posting on there regularly and consistently, and it's really just resharing, repurposing, and redistributing existing content. And that's how I have over 1,000 followers on YouTube. I've never monetized with YouTube, but I've always been monetized by YouTube because my content does the conversion for me and sells for me. Okay. And so if you do that and we modify that and make it relevant to 2025, you want a platform where you have organic. So for me, that's FB, right? And then I want a place where I am able to be discovered, where people are searching for what it is that I have to offer and find me. And contrary to popular belief, that is not the TikTok app for me. That is Pinterest. And then my tertiary is actually YT for that same reason. Things are heating up. You must be able to be discovered, right? I'm not even going to talk about ChatGPT's role in this, but because I'm actually thinking about doing a webinar in April about ChatGPT, some things on ChatGPT that I have been getting some requests for, and go into search and AI search and ChatGPT search, because it's going to become more and more important and might outrank Google at some point, right? But for some of your industries, some of your keywords, Google is going to be very challenging, especially like in spaces like beauty, for example, right? I had strategies that worked back then. And now, and part of that was Pinterest. And now I would rely heavily on Pinterest. I'll put it to you this way. Last fall, I really put concerted effort between ChatGPT, Pinterest, and YouTube to push up rankings of my blog. And it has definitely worked. it has definitely worked. So that might be some little webinar that I do in April, a workshop or masterclass on that. So alrighty, I will see you on the next live. So if you are not following, make sure that you are following me. If you want to learn more about Pin Profits Mastery, head to the LINK or comment, and I will get you that information and we will go from there. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.